What's up, guys? How are you today? Or tonight? Or whenever you're seeing this video? Hope you're doing well. Yes, the character is a bit different today. Because today's a special day. I went to the Renaissance Festival. And I figured why not continue this character. So, in this video, we are going to be exploring the difference between emotional alignment and your energetic calibration, your frequency, your vibrational frequency, and calibrating that to your highest and best life path, the timeline of your highest and best good. What's the difference between emotional alignment and attuning your vibrational frequency? That was something I just explored. And I really like using AI to help explore the different ideas and thoughts because I can just throw out different concepts and ideas and then get a bunch of data back, and then I can use my intuition to pick out certain things that I didn't see before, or different elements I didn't think about that are also involved. And it's just such a useful tool to use it as a thinking tool to expand your mind. So I was doing that and came up with this. So I thought I'd share it with you as I am just integrating and discovering this element, right? Because the thought is that, well, I know that your emotions are a primary driver of your vibrational frequency, right? I've talked about that in previous videos. So what's the difference between calibrating your frequency as a whole and aligning your aligning your emotions with the version of you that exists in that preferred timeline? And when I asked myself that question, the immediate things that came to mind were thoughts, right? Your thoughts need to be going the same direction as your emotions. And then also your beliefs. But there's a few things in addition to that I'd like to bring to your attention. And if you found yourself on this video, then this message is for you, channeled through me. For your highest and best good is my intention. And this is going to be ideas, a perspective, and we're going to be diving in a little bit, and I'll be doing an entire playlist on this, but the Magician Archetype. And I figured, why not? I was going to think, right? Because I am thinking, I'm still doing the 30-day, one video recorded a day challenge for myself. And so I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to record a video tonight. What should it be about? And then it just kind of hit me like, well, you were playing this character with your dress, your wardrobe today. So why not go off of that? So I also got a wand. And this is a powerful wand. And it's made out of mahogany. And that's like my favorite type of wood. So I'm excited about this. So yes, you guessed it, we are exploring the archetype of the magician. And the magician is a true master of the mind. But moreover, more so than the mind, he's also a master of the elements. He's basically the avatar. And I'm just going to show you this. If you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, I got this as well. 1 second. I figure I may as well take it out of the plastic. I got a map. I got a map of the earth, air, water, and fire kingdoms. And I didn't realize there's something here on the back of this. Huh. Interesting. This is on the back. I don't know what this is. I think this is a real map. But thought that was cool. If you're into it, if you like that. But right, we look at archetypes or characters or symbols in our collective consciousness and our understanding of culture and society. We have different symbols and archetypes that come through. And those, as I recorded in the last video, we actually did a meditation spur of the moment that I didn't even plan on doing, that was connecting to 4 different archetypes within the collective unconscious, which is, it was the magician, the lover, the warrior, and the sovereign. And we can tune into that archetype with our mind and intention, and then pull information that is colored with that lens of that knowledge, of that perspective. So that's why, why do a video series on the archetype of the magician? Because I am passionate about the mind. And this started off tonight, how I started, researching and kind of exploring some ideas was with the question, is the magician a true master of the mind? And I do believe that he is, or she. And so this kind of evolved from that, and we will go into that and all the more specified elements of manifestation, which is a real thing from what I believe. It's not the pop culture manifestation. It is using the merge of science and spirituality, of esoteric knowledge and information that we know, like quantum physics or just regular physics. And I'm not a physicist, I'm not an expert in the sciences, nor am I a master of the esoteric wisdom. I'm just a dude finding his way on his path. And I would like to share the journey with you as we are all walking our own paths. There's something special about community, about a shared experience, and we're all going through this experience called life. And it is a discovery process. And different points on the journey happen for different people at different times. But if you're aligning with this video now, then you must align with this message because you clicked on it and you're watching still. So this message is for you, and it is a reminder of what you already know. So just hang out with me for a little bit. Play along. And let's explore the concept and clarify the difference between a full energetic calibration of your being versus just the aspect of aligning your emotions, which is very powerful and important. But there's more to it for the entire energetic calibration. And recently I was mainly focusing on the emotion side, since it is the primary point, the primary influence, or at least the most influential aspect in my opinion. But there is more to be aware of. In future videos in this series of the Magician Archetype, we will explore all the details of what it is to manifest from that holistic, multidimensional perspective, not just looking at it from only the lens of, say, the law of attraction. And if you only look at manifestation through that law of attraction lens, then you're missing out on a lot of key elements relating to psychology, neuroscience, physics. Yeah. So, before we get into it, I'm going to clear the space with the bowl of 528. So let's go for it. As I do this, as always, just take some deep breaths with the intention to release on the exhale. Release the tension, release the baggage, release the fears, release the anxiety, release the worries, release the anger, release the frustration. Just let it all go. You're here with me now. And we're about to fine-tune the inner magician within you. And if you intentionally connect to this archetype and you want to learn more, there's a reason for that. And there's certain elements about the magician archetype that is already within you. All the archetypes are within us, right? That's why I said collective unconscious from the Carl Jung perspective. It's all about using this lens to then pull the golden nuggets out to apply to your own psyche to better your life. Ultimately, it's about self-improvement. But we're taking this spiritual, esoteric, mystical perspective today, as I have my character in flow. So let's go. And the purpose of breathing is a physical action to direct energy with intention. That's using your intention as the magician that you are. Good stuff. And it's like so fitting because you are music, right? You are frequency, you are vibration, you are a multi-dimensional vibrational being. So when we play vibrations or sounds, it affects us. You know, you ever wonder why music affects us so deeply? Why does music trigger such visceral responses or emotional responses at least? It's because it's resonant with who we are. So it's a great tool. And that's what all these are. It's what everything, you can use it all as a tool. You can use your perspective, you can use ideas, you can use information as a tool to better your life. And when you get better, everything around you gets better. Life doesn't get easier, but you can get better. So, let's dive into it. And I'm excited about this one because I like doing stuff this way. And maybe in future videos I'll have things more planned, but I'm really enjoying not having quite too much of a plan and just seeing how it goes. You know? Can you tell I'm a little sunburned? I was out walking around in the sun all day. So, we have, hey there, we have emotional alignment versus, right? And I just like to do the versus thing, the separation, because it is easier for the mind to understand when we label and categorize. But just a reminder, these are intertwined. These are not truly separate ideas. They only become separate once we get the mind involved. But it does help, in my opinion. At the end of the day, take the information and the ideas that connect with you, leave what does not. So, emotional alignment, it's about consistently feeling the emotions that align with your highest vibrational timeline. So that is intentionally using your mind to direct your body to feel the emotions that are in alignment with the wish fulfilled. And go watch I think it was like the second or third video on the channel where I spoke about the Magician and the Alchemist. And I mentioned these things, but tuning into that feeling of the wish fulfilled, what does it feel like to attain your desires or your goal or achievement that you want to get to? What does that actually feel like? Because it's not just about identifying the target with the thoughts in the mind. You need to then feel the feelings, because the feelings are what are more of a primary influence, as I mentioned, in your frequency. And when you can then begin to change your state and align your current state of being to the version of you that experiences that, right? And you can visualize that, play out the scenario in your mind. You already have that existing as through your imagination, so you can connect to what does that version of me in my mind feel when they experience XYZ scenarios, circumstances, realities, achievements, goals attained, wish fulfilled. Wishes fulfilled. It doesn't have to just be one wish, but the more things you focus on, the less pressure that is coming through that hose, or the less amplitude that is coming through of that spotlight of energy of your attention. So it does help. You will send a stronger signal if you focus on less. Less is more. But you can focus on something that is encompassing of all those little things, right? If you focus on a bigger part of it and really dial in the reality of you living abundantly, freedom, being able to have freedom kind of is a huge top tier. And then so many little manifestations trickle down from that state of being. Freedom to express yourself, freedom to travel, freedom to do what you want when you want. Okay? So that emotional alignment is key in manifestation. The real manifestation. Because if you cannot become the person that achieves, or don't want to say achieve, if you cannot become the person that lives the version of reality that you want to live, then you will never live it. You must focus on becoming the person that attains the goal. Becoming that version of you that already has the reality. And it's not about what we get, it's about who you become. That's the major value in life. Always remember, as Jim Rohn says. And I will continue to say that, because that is just so key to this. So it's tuning into the feelings of joy, gratitude. And gratitude, remember, is actually the feeling of receiving. When we receive something, we feel gratitude. So that's why gratitude is a big one. If you can connect to the feeling of gratitude every day, you're putting yourself in a state of receiving and having received. And when you consistently, that's another word, consistently operate feeling these emotions, you're consistently pulsing out a clear signal. Now, other things may get in the way of that, or may create static or resistance. But we're starting with this, and this is a reminder, because this is the main powerhouse of what dictates or influences your frequency. And your frequency, yes, you can focus on the goal. You can with your mind, and then you can work really hard and go at it like the old paradigm of work really hard for your goals, work until you're 65 and then retire. These are paradigms of the old reality. And we're moving into the new reality in which you experience your highest timeline, your highest and best vibrational timeline, your soul's path that you came here to live, which is an experience of joy and expansiveness and freedom. Freedom! Joy, gratitude, and then also we have excitement. That's a big one. It's a big one. You don't have to feel excited all the time, I guess. You can if you want to, but excitement is a powerful frequency. And your higher self and the guidance system communicates in passion and excitement. And if you have your heart open to compassion and love, you can allow that to flow. And then if you let go of the fears of expressing yourself and expressing your excitement, then you can actually feel into it and then let your body guide you as well. But if we close it off, I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to get, too out there. I don't want to weird people out. Then you're closing yourself off from your better future. Because your better future is aligned with a fuller version of you, a fuller expression, a more full expression of you. Excitement. Another great one is peace. Peace. It's learning to master the mind, right? The magician, we're saying, is a master of the mind. Because it comes down to the mind. All is mental. It's the first Hermetic principle, but the reason that is the first one is because it all starts with the mind. So like I was saying, you can go on the track of, you pick the goal, you have the to-do list. And I know this reality well. The old one. The old way of doing things. And I'm saying the old way. Some people still do it this way, but I'm shifting into a different perspective. And I'm not completely, I was going to say I'm not completely letting go, but maybe I am. Maybe I should. I don't have to do anything, right? But maybe I'm still working on it, right? I'm still navigating the path. And the path is, you can't see the whole way. And that's the mystery part. And that's what's fun about it. But it illuminates as you continue to make steps forward. So you don't have to see the whole path, but you just have to take the next step that's clear. And that clearness is illuminated by your passion and excitement and interest and emotion of positive emotions. Vibration will shine through and shine the light on what thing am I most excited about and interested in doing. And just follow that. And that begins to align you with the reality that will be a greater expression of who you really are. But we have things to do. We have priorities. We got to make the money. We got to earn the money, I should say, in order to survive. And then there's a whole different plethora, so I need to expand my vocabulary. There's a whole different set of details that come along with taking that path of doing it, where you identify the goal and then you set all the to-do items and you begin working on it, and you don't really feel great about it, but it must be done, and so you work at it and you force yourself to do it, and you work really hard, and it's like you're pushing this boulder up the hill, and you're grinding, and you're waking up early, and you're getting it in. You can still manifest from that method. I'm not saying that method doesn't work. Like, hard work is the language of this reality. I should say work, action, is the language of this reality. But as Alan Watts has talked about, if you are doing something you love, it ceases to become work. And it's all about how we define these words, right? Like, work can be positive or negative depending on your perspective. Work can be a drudging effort, or it can be a playful flow. And you can call the playful flow work if you want to, or you can not call it work. But it is still, if you're still taking action, you're creating and you're doing things and you're making things happen, that's work. But in the old paradigm, work is something you don't like, because that's why it's called work and not play. But Alan Watts has the perspective, if you can align yourself to be able to enjoy is to be in joy, to flow and dance with life, and learn to pull out the aspects of loving. You don't have to be in love with every aspect of the process, because sure, there may be some things, some tedious things, some maintenance work that is not the most fun to do. But like I said, perspective. It is all through your perspective and how you choose to look at it. You can have fun washing the dishes if you want to. Now, I'm not quite there yet, but I am so much better than I used to be in terms of how I approach actually doing the task and how I feel and think about it as I'm doing it. I used to avoid it because I thought I hated it. But there's only one dish. You only really have to wash one dish. You know? And then the next one will come. But you only wash one dish at a time. And since everything's in the present moment, you just got to wash one dish. And then what's the experience of washing the dish and kind of being like, shala la 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 na 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 na. Got some rhythm. You're going. That's flowing. The water's flowing. Sparkly clean. All right. And now put it there. On to the next. Right? Versus like, shit, fucking do. Two different experiences. So this all, and that those different experiences are created through your mind, through your perspective, through the way you choose to look at it and approach any situation. So there is the aspect of still getting shit done. And I'm not saying you just need to play and don't worry about, I'm not saying to worry. Please don't worry. Definitely don't worry. If you do worry, it is because your mind or your higher mind is trying to motivate you to do something, to take an action. And once you start to get clarity, whether that action is getting clarity or learning or taking a certain action that needs to be taken, then that anxiety and worry will decrease. And then you can learn to weave in the concepts or the perspectives of surrender and acceptance. And then that will also help reduce worry. Because you can't control it all. That's where worry comes from, is like you try to control it all. And so becoming a master of the mind and becoming the magician is to begin to understand the mind on a deeper level. And through that process, you discover that you truly can't control anything besides your thoughts, besides your perspective that you choose to hold. And your decisions you choose to make. Maybe there's a couple other things, but those are what come to mind right now. So you can still manifest with the old paradigm of doing the hard work. But you can also manifest, as we are continuing to evolve and expand as a collective, we can, more than ever, well, I shouldn't say ever, more than recent times, step into the flow where you're aligning with the universe and the flow of life and the flow of your life and the flow of your path. And you're not resisting it because of external forces telling you that you need to do this because it's the way things are or the way things work, or you know what I'm saying. It's tuning into what really aligns with you. And through that process, getting to there is self-awareness, self-reflection, because then you know yourself more, and then you can make more aligned decisions with yourself. I'm going to keep reminding you about that. Like, take the time to talk to yourself, to ask yourself questions, to just be with yourself. If we're always with other people, if we're always constantly distracted with the things we're consuming, we don't ever have the time, the space to sit with yourself and to learn about yourself and to understand yourself. So that's a crucial part of the magician. Is we'll just put that on there, like, there's understanding and that's a weird hand sign, and understanding. And that's basically knowing yourself inside and out. Understanding is more intellectual, understanding is more internal of coming to know the awareness, the higher self, the stillness. And with that stillness is the power in the present moment. And in that is the nature of acceptance and surrender and releasing control, because the mind wants to control. And so when you align with, you can still have the mind, but you start to teach the mind that there is a greater awareness within you. And that awareness is always rooted in the forever now moment. And you are not just the mind. You are not just the body. You are also this greater awareness, sometimes called the superconscious. So we'll get into the magician more so in all the details of that and that archetype in future videos. This one, we're going to dial in. We're at 37 minutes already. Time flies when you're having fun. We're going to finish clarifying the difference between the emotional alignment and energetic calibration. So we talked about the emotional alignment, right? And the point that I was making that I got a little bit wrapped up in is that, and I think it was good. I'm glad I'm flowing with this, but there is still possible. It's still possible to just focus on setting the goals and then doing the work. That's still needed. And I'm not saying to get rid of that, but if you only do that, then it could take a long time because your motivation factor is lower, because your alignment and your frequency is disharmonic and it is not a clear channel. So you may be getting opportunities by the universe, maybe sending you signs to take certain actions. You may be being communicated with by reality and your higher self that could give you shortcuts, that could give you actions or opportunities to take through your highest excitement. But because you're like locked into this, like I gotta work really hard and do this thing, you're not seeing that guidance. You're not hearing that. So one scenario is that it takes you 5 times, 10 times as long to achieve the goal, versus if you do still have clarity and reverse engineer and create the steps and map it out, but then do the energetic calibration and emotional alignment work. And then now you're going. You got the mind and the soul aligned. And that is where you can have experiences like instant manifestations or quantum leaps, where you just, once everything clicks. And this process of alignment, it takes a gradual time. So gradually you start to align, but then one day it all just clicks into place and then everything changes. And that's what happens with a lot of people, the overnight success, right? The one-hit wonders of the musicians that it just, not the one-hit wonders, but the overnight success musicians or stars in celebrities, like all of a sudden they just, boom, they're just freaking massive success. And yes, the element of virality with social media has influenced this a little bit, where it's more possible now to really not do any of the work and then just randomly become viral. But then how long does that really last, right? Like Jim Rohn says, you better become the million. If you somehow get $1 million, you better become a millionaire internally. Otherwise, you'll lose the money. So become a millionaire so that you can keep the money. So do the work of aligning yourself with your highest and best life path so that you can stay on the path, so you can stay in that timeline. Otherwise, you'll fall back into your old reality because so many elements of you are still there. So you can't stay here, even though a viral video shot you over into these situations. Most of you still living in the other one. So it's not congruent. So you can't stay there for an extended period of time. Something is going to happen and bring you back. So this is so good. This is so good. I'm loving this. So joy, gratitude, excitement, peace, great emotions, right? So we understand that the emotions are a primary driver of our frequency, and when you can align frequency, say you just do frequency and you just focus on the wish fulfilled and your being in the state of all of the elements of your desired manifested reality. If you don't do the work, how is reality going to reflect any change to you? Do you just expect the money to appear in your bank account? Do you just expect opportunities someone to come knocking on your door and handing you the dream opportunity, the job, or I don't want to say job, but the career or the opportunity. There are opportunities, whatever it is, to create. Do you expect that to happen? What is more likely, that or you take an action, you put yourself in situations, networking, going to events, attending different scenarios in which you can connect, in which the guiding principles of synchronicity, the organizing principle of synchronicity can then align different people to you. Because that's what businesses are. Businesses are people. And that's what many things in your manifestations revolve around, are other people bringing opportunities in collaboration, whether it's their business or it's they want to pay you for something, they want to trade value for value, exchange value, or they want to invite you on some sort of experience because they feel that you are a good fit. But in order to get those opportunities that begin to change your circumstances of your life, you have to put yourself out into the world. You have to do the physical actions. And if you go and watch that first video on the Magician and the Alchemist, I talked about how it's the throwing the pebble in the lake. And I think it's more accurate to call it a river, because this reality and this time of the present moment is like constantly flowing and changing. So it's not a still lake, but the lake is a good analogy for a visual standpoint of when you throw the pebble, you take the action of throwing the pebble into the lake. Let's just draw it real quick. If you didn't watch the other video, you have the lake. We got to draw that better. You have the lake. You're right here. You got a really oval shaped head. And you throw the pebble, and then it goes into the lake, hits it, and then you have ripples. And you have to take the action of throwing that pebble, which is an action in your reality, because the physical reality, the language of the physical reality is action, because it's a physical world. So it speaks in the language of action, of doing, of creating change in the physicality. And that is throwing that pebble, creating change. So that's a phone call, that's an email, that's a text message, that's a showing up, that's a question, that's a openness, that's a sharing, that's a being curious. Okay? And it's getting the channel from the higher mind. And so it's an open channel. We're just going to erase that because that looks weird. So yes, let's finish this out. So I just wanted to build that out because I do think that's crucial to become aware of, and to remind ourselves that it takes both. You got to take the action and do the work, and it doesn't have to be experienced, but it doesn't have to be experienced the same way in the old paradigm of the old reality of work really hard and then you can make it happen. We're shifting to a state of more flow. And when you're in flow, the opportunities will align because you're listening to your intuition and your internal guidance system and your higher mind. And then things will happen a lot faster with less effort. Isn't that challenging for the conscious mind to accept and understand. And if you find that that idea is challenging for the things you want to manifest and happen in your life, or goals that you have that you want to achieve, what if I told you that they could happen twice, 5, 10 times as fast with twice, 5, 10 times less effort? No, not possible, not possible. That's the mind. That's the old belief system. And it takes time to change that, but it's all about balance, right? Because it's not saying, oh, I don't need to do any effort. It's not saying that, but it's changing the way you look at effort. It's changing the way you look at the work. And then, like Alan Watts said, that I never finished that saying, is that when you love what you do, I don't think he actually said that. That's a different phrase, but he's said that concept in different ways. But when you love the work, when you find joy and enjoyment in the work, you're not working, you're playing. So if you can get paid to play, that's the freaking win. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm playing, I'm flowing. So to be able to get paid to share value and exchange value for value, if I can help you uncover certain blocks or dissolve certain blocks, say in creative blocks, trading the fast track system to streamline that process, to share the challenges and wisdom or knowledge of fast tracking that, so you don't have to go through on your own time and learn it all through the chaos of information of the internet, and then use your own trial and error of what works. I can fast track that whole thing for you, and that's saving you time, which is the most valuable resource you have, because that's one of the only things that we have a limited supply of. You can go back to the video that you have all the time in the world, but I'm looking for the perspective of the physical body. There's a time limit in the physical body. At least this one. So, do you want to be completely free from the system and be experiencing your dream reality when you're 85 years old? Or do you want to do it sooner? Like, sure, I definitely want to do it when I'm 85, but I would love to be able to do it sooner than that. And it is possible. And you have more opportunity today than ever before in documented history because of the internet, because of technology. It is so much easier than it used to be, but it's just a paradox because we also are so much more distracted than we've ever been. So our ability to focus, and that's what a huge part of what the magician is. It's being able to focus the energy. So it's aligning and focusing intent and frequency and emotion and beliefs and getting everything in congruence and moving in the same direction. Now you have all the dimensions, all the sides of yourself, all your different energy, your spiritual bodies, your energy field, all of that is now going in the same direction. So now when you take the action, it is like the work of 10 of you. It is so much more powerful. It's like a big boulder you're throwing in the lake, creates much bigger ripples than a tiny little pebble that was produced when you were not feeling good about it, when you were it was effort and hard and work and struggle and pain and suffering. And it's like, yeah, that stuff is great to learn and grow from, because the challenge and the suffering gives us the opportunity to grow. So you need that step, you need that part of the experience. But if you've gotten to the point where you've learned and developed the self-awareness and you know about yourself, and so that's where a lot of the suffering comes from, is like a incompatibility, or it's cognitive dissonance, where you have different sides of yourself fighting with yourself, and a lack of understanding and understanding. So you do all that work, and then now your actions are much more influential in the physical reality, and it's like you're throwing a boulder into the lake, creating big ripples instead of a tiny pebble. So that gives you the outline of why why even talk about this. If I could still do the work and make it happen, like, why does any of this matter? Why even look through the magician lens? Because there's more to life than just physical action and goal setting. There's more to you than what you achieve in your achievements. Let's finish this out. So now let's go into energetic calibration. So energetic calibration is aligning all energetic components. Okay. So that is emotion, right? So these are, it's like this part is part of that emotion, and then that's intentionally raising vibrational state. Then we have thoughts, we have beliefs, we have actions, we have, what else we got? Physical body, also environment, right? Because your environment is a reflection of you. At least your environment that you have control over. I mean, still, your environment affects you. So that's where it's really good. It's really beneficial to have a space of your own that you can control for the most part. Like, you can keep it clean. You can put certain symbols or reminders or uplifting things that you can craft. If you can craft your environment, and it doesn't have to be a big old mansion, it just needs to be a room that you can go to and get in a certain state. But if you can have that space of yours, that is very helpful. And at different points on the journey, we may not have that, and I have experienced that, and it was very challenging for me. And I thought that experience was, because I always look through it of what is it trying to teach me, right? And what I told myself, and I wrote it out, is that this experience of not having a place of your own is trying to teach you how to create that home within. If you can figure out how to be balanced and centered and peaceful without a space, a sanctuary, a home of your own, then imagine when you get it, right? So I just took it as the opportunity to work on the internal and creating that centeredness and groundedness and release of anxiety and worry and frustration, not making that my internal state dependent on an external. That's what I took from that experience. But then I ended up getting my sanctuary, and then I crafted it and created it the way I wanted to, and now it's just a total reflection of me. And there is different times where the state of the environment changes, and I can actually see the reflection of my consciousness in my environment. For example, clutter. But nobody's perfect. We'll get there. But yeah, so just thought I'd share that with you. But let's get back in. So environment. Yep. And then lastly, subtle energy field. Subtle energy field is basically tuning your your aura, your vibrational energy field that extends outward around your body. So those are kind of connected. But that's things like meditation, grounding. That also goes in the body, right? Grounding. Breath work, energy work. You do like things like Reiki or even sound. But they're both, your body and your subtle energy field are kind of hand in hand, one of the same. So, while the emotions are the primary driver of your frequency, the full energetic calibration ensures that there's no parts of you vibrating at the old frequency, mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. That's the point of doing the full energetic calibration. And that's aligning all of these things, all of these elements to your highest version of yourself as best you can. But it's projecting your imagination. What would that version of me feel? How would they act? How would they behave? What decisions would they make in that timeline, in that scenario of my wish fulfilled, my dream fulfilled? Because it sure as hell is not the version of you right now living your current life. You have to change. You get to change. You don't have to. You get to make the choice. And once you decide, that's like a version of throwing that pebble. Once you decide, everything starts to move. But nothing will happen until you decide that you're doing it, that you're making the change, that you're going to work on it. So decide today. What are you going to work on? What's next on your path? I'll write this out. So doing this full energetic calibration is ensuring that there is no part of you still vibrating at the old frequency. Yep. Got it? That's just such a small part of this process. Just looking at it through emotional alignment versus the full energetic calibration. I shouldn't say it's a small part. It is like the whole thing. And I like that I tied in the whole action thing. But it's getting all of those moving in the same direction. That's what creates congruence. That's what creates alignment. And once you create alignment, that's when things start to shift really quickly. But what creates the experience of struggle and work, really hard effort, it's just hard, is because not all these things are in congruence. Not all of these elements are going in the same direction. So you have dissonance. You have incompatible beliefs. You have two different sides of yourself fighting with each other because one part believes that they should be doing this, but the other part really wants to be doing this. And then you experience low motivation, and then you don't feel good. And so now you're not feeling good. So that is not creating a loop that is going to be feeding back into your creativity. It's actually stopping creativity, and then you're questioning it. And so then if you overanalyze it and you think that I'm so fearful about doing it wrong, so I'm going to try to overanalyze an idea of how I should do it. Now you've lost the motivation, or you've lost the momentum from the creative idea that brought you the excitement. Now you've gone into the mind, and you've let the mind actually sabotage you, and now it has stopped and you created a creative block. So then you that don't feel good about being blocked, and then you're blocking new ideas from coming because now you're not in a good state. You're not in a state of feeling good and flowing. So there's a just a dynamic and very intricate interplay between all of these different elements of yourself, and that's what the magician is. That's what the master magician is understanding your power, master of the mind. So that's what you're working towards. That's what this message was, is a reminder of this process so that you can begin to do what it really takes to manifest as the master magician that you are becoming and that you are deep inside. And the magician is the physical archetype of the pure flow from non-physical to physical. So, but the magician's here in the physical on the ground, right? So although we have the potential, and you have unlimited potential within you, and you know that, and you know that there is more out there for you, and there's a higher timeline of greater joy and fulfillment and freedom and health and wealth and happiness. But it's about getting there. And you get there by focusing on the now and taking action now and deciding now and making those changes every day until you become the person that lives that timeline. You're of your highest and best good. Until you become the magician. An external or a manifested representation of alignment with the universe. So if you like that, if you like that message, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We'll be going into more ideas like this. Like I said, I will be doing a whole series on that, on the magician. But hopefully you gain some value from that video, from this concept. I really enjoyed going through this, and it always just, I like spending the time. It's not spending. I like investing the time. I like exploring. I like not feeling like we need to be in a rush, not feeling like I have to just give you all the answers and spoon feed them to you in a short amount of time. If you really want to do this, then you need to be able to slow down and focus for an hour. If you can't slow down and just be here with me now and focus on this video for an hour, how do you expect to create your new reality? How do you expect to jump from your old timeline to the new one? It takes focus. And it's not hard. You just need to be here, which is what you are already doing. That's what your true self is being here now. So it's detaching from the need for constant stimuli. You're already watching a video. I'm already throwing you ideas. So this is the stimuli. And I know if you've made it this far, you don't really need to hear this part. So I'm just kind of thinking about how this society is, and I'm a part of it, and I watch the short videos. So I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just so interesting of how the fact that we have this reality of constant information at all corners in short bits. It's created a culture of feeling that we need to give you the answers as fast as possible so I can get the views and grow. And I'm not worrying about that, because this journey, this path of life that we are all on is an unfolding. It's a happening, and then it's always the now moment. It's the eternal moment. So I can spend as long as I want to explore these things, because I'm doing it from my heart. I'm doing it for the highest and best good of you and myself. And I do feel that certain things need the time to unspool such an packed, dense topic. Like, this is so dense. And sure, we could simplify it and say, I just give you five tips to manifest. Turn it into a 60-second video. That'll probably help. May give you a good idea or two or 5. But I really want to spend the time it takes, at least for me as I am right now, to give you the full channel, to give you the full message that's coming through for you. So if you made it to the end of the video, give yourself a pat on the back. Not everybody can do that. And I'm just happy you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and share the video and comment down below, because it helps the channel grow. And I would really appreciate some help with that, because if we can get this message out to more people will be able to become aligned with themselves. And then when more people are in tune and aligned and know themselves and are able to understand what it actually means to manifest, then we can get more people on the same page of the golden rule of doing unto others as you would like to be done. I'm totally butchering that. The golden rule, you know what I'm saying? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's understanding the nature of reality. And we didn't get taught this in school. And I'm still learning. And I will always still be learning. So, it was my pleasure to serve you today with this message. I thank you for being here with me and hanging out with me on this one. This was a fun one. I enjoyed this. I hope you have a good rest of your night. And I will see you on the next video.